Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Talent Culture's T-Chat Radio. The World of Work is live now on the radio with Megan M. Biro and Kevin W. Grossman, because middle initials count.
Come down, turn the radio on. Take my hand, turn the radio on. Come on, my favorite song, baby. Let's dance, turn the radio on.
Welcome everybody out there in Talent Culture T-Chat Show Land. Now that everybody's dancing and dancing away your Turkey Day that we just had last week, welcome to another show. It is Wednesday. It is December 2nd. Wow, almost at the end of the year. And it's 1 p.m. if you're on the East Coast and 10 a.m. if you're in the West, and obviously somewhere in the middle if you're in the middle. And we are counting down to the end of the year. Welcome to the show. With you as always is Kevin W. Grossman and, of course, the lovely and talented Megan M. Biro. Hello, Megan.
Hello, Kevin. Hello, community. Happy December. I can't believe it. Time is just absolutely flying.
Indeed.
So excited for everything related to this topic today, of course, and glad that our community is alive and well out there. Thanks for being here. I want to give a special thank you to all of our friends and all of our sponsors out there. Dice, who is actually sponsoring today's show. Thank you for all your support over the years. We adore you.
Yep.
Also, shout outs today to Smashfly, Career Builder, Workable, TalentWise, People Fluent, Smart Search, iCIMS, Visier, IBM Smarter Workforce, and Jive. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
Indeed.
So, before the U.S. Thanksgiving week, we talked about how wellness programs improve employee performance. And this week, we're going to be talking about how social recruiting makes the talent business case. So if we think social media is big now, and we have been saying this for what feels like a gazillion years, it's only getting bigger, along with its importance to tech recruiters actually looking for results. I think it's really important to understand that social recruiting is no longer a trend. It is literally the new norm. According to some Dice research, 9 out of 10 recruiters are using social media in talent acquisition, and I'm just thrilled for these numbers. Certainly wasn't that way if we look back a couple of years from today. Things have really kind of come full circle, and they're speeding ahead with innovation and with social, obviously. In fact, the same research shows that social media has improved or is greatly improving tech recruiting results, including quality of candidates, referrals, and time to hire. Social has really become the tool for recruiters to promote jobs, to build brands, to source candidates, to create relationships, which, yes, they still matter, right? And vet applicants. So recruiters know that this is the future, and they're investing their time and money accordingly to make that talent business case. So if you're listening today on the podcast, and I sure hope you are, and you want to participate either now on Twitter using T-Chat or during the T-Chat Twitter chat portion of the show immediately following the podcast interview, do it. We are delighted to have some really awesome friends of the community here with us today. So let's introduce our guest.
We indeed. So we've got some recruiting powerhouse folks today. There's your favorite word, Megan. On the show. Okay. The powerhouse folks, recruiting powerhouse folks. So, yes, that's right. So the first and foremost is Stacey Zafar. She's the founder of Tenfold and recruiting strategist, trainer, and advisor. She has been in the space for nearly 20 years, a veteran of a Fortune 500 tech companies, and, of course, founder of her own recruitment firm called Tenfold, recruitment strategy training and consulting firm. She has worked with many, many big brands, big names, cool names, Zappos, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and Greenhouse Software, to name a few, and has lots of experience in all things recruiting, and in particular, many things, but social recruiting, which we're going to obviously talk about on the show today. So let's welcome Stacy. Say hi, Stacy, and then I'll introduce the other guest.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome. And we've also got Allison Cruz, who is the Senior Manager of Social Media and Talent Acquisition at Kforce. And she's passionate about empowering recruiters and sourcers to leverage social media and be more successful at what they do. And she's responsible for developing and executing the overall ever-evolving firm-wide strategy to leverage social for recruiting and sales. Again, customers, candidates, one and the same. We all know that. In order to provide value to the Kforce employees, clients, consultants, and as well as increase revenue, community engagement, and growth on all platforms. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Excellent. So listen, one thing that we like to do first before we dive into the big ticket questions, of course, is to learn more about each one of you, right? And what motivates you, what has driven you to what you're doing today, and why. So why don't we start in reverse and with Allison. Give us a little bit more about your background, and then we'll flip to Stacy.
Sure. So I actually started my career earning half of a PhD in psychology. So I went halfway through the program. I wasn't sure if it was for me, so took a break and got into the business world as a recruiter, where I found, hey, I can still help people and, be with people, interact with people, but I don't have to necessarily be their therapist. So actually, I still kind of am a therapist, but not officially.
Exactly.
I gravitated towards the whole intersection between, social media and talent acquisition back in 2009 when I was a recruiter at Northwestern Mutual. Back then, it was pretty niche. I mean, it was the whole idea of, using social media for recruitment wasn't as nearly as widespread, of course, as it is today. I developed LinkedIn training programs back then, broke a 30-year record for hiring the most financial reps in a single year, and I was hooked. I was like, wow, social media is so effective for recruiters. This is huge. And then from there, I went to Walgreens, where I established their social recruitment program, and then was recruited to join Aon Hewitt's RPO team, where I consulted with our clients on all things digital. Then about 2 years ago, I was recruited to join Kforce and now serve as the head of social media, focused on, like you said, empowering our people to effectively leverage it for branding, sales, sourcing, and recruiting.
Nice. Excellent.
Exciting. You have such a great background.
Thanks you.
For being here. Yeah. Well, next up, we want to hear a little bit from the one and only Stacy. Stacy Zappar.
She's the taxi line. Hey, Stacy, you're the taxi line whisperer. So I just want you to know that.
I could help
Thank you.
I got my little,
very nice.
Forward moment of the day checked off that day.
Stacy, when we were in line together, or in opposite parts of the line, taxi line at before HR Tech, and she kept saying, "Come on up here, and I'm like, I don't know when to cut line. She was getting ready to get in the taxi, and she's like, and people held the chains up for me. They're like, "Go ahead, come on." I'm like, all right.
You weren't cutting in line. You were hopping in a cab that was already there. Sheesh.
I know, you're right. It was awesome. So thank you again for that. But tell us more about you. What's going on?
You saved everyone in line behind you, waiting for one more cab. You can look at it that way.
I did. That is right.
I'll give the very quick and dirty version. I've been a recruiter since the days of before Y2K, all that fun stuff. Started in an agency, went in-house, have done all types of recruiting from executive down to admin, international, executive, but always tech throughout the whole process. I absolutely love tech recruiting. It's by far my favorite because the technology is constantly changing and you have to stay on top of it. But, when it comes to social recruiting especially, I've kind of been an early adopter on that front, big time into LinkedIn very early, and that's kind of paid off in the long run for anybody who knows anything about my background. But I've always been sort of a social recruiter even before the advent of social media. Big believer in building relationships and nurturing those relationships and staying in touch with people, getting to know them as a person, not just kind of treating everyone like a number. So this whole social component has sort of been the crux of my recruiting style since day one. And so social has just enabled me to kind of take that to another level. So I'm a big fan of it, and I've spoken about it till I'm kind of blue in the face, and I'm not anywhere near done talking about it. So big fan of it and excited to be here today. Oh, and now I run my own
Excellent.
company, and I train other recruiters how to recruit in a similar style, relationship-based recruiting, as opposed to just bulk everything. So.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, listen, we've got some of this Dice's social recruiting research talking about 9 out of 10 recruiters that are using social media and sites in their talent acquisition efforts. So, let's start with Allison, and then we'll move over to Stacy. I mean, how does this jive with you? How much more prevalent is social media today than it was, I'll just say 5 years ago, for good measure? What do you say, Allison?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that 9 out of 10, I mean, I'm surprised that it's actually, not more than 9 out of 10, because it's hard to even imagine 1 out of every 10 recruiters not using social at all. So I'm just wondering, that 1 out of 10, are they not using GitHub, Stack Overflow, they're not using LinkedIn,
right.
They're not glancing at it at all. So I'm actually surprised it's 9 out of 10. I think it'd be more. But, I mean, yes, it's for sure more prevalent than 5 years ago. I mean, our whole culture is becoming more and more digital savvy. So our industry doesn't exist in a vacuum. We're part of that culture too. So,
right.
It's not surprising that, of course, it's a lot more relevant. So.
And Stacy, thoughts on that from your perspective?
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of a given that 9 out of 10 recruiters are using social. It's probably, to Allison's point, 9.8 out of 10 are using social these days. LinkedIn, of course, is sort of a given. It's ubiquitous out there in our industry. However, I do think there's still opportunity for folks to embrace other tools, including and other social platforms, including Facebook Graph Search and using Twitter more as a sourcing tool and an outreach tool. Of course, there's all sorts of people doing all sorts of creative things. I talked to somebody yesterday who's using Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest, and he's made hires on all 3 platforms. Definitely need to get him on your show very, very soon. He's doing some really cool stuff.
Who's it?
Yeah.
Who's this? Who's this?
Oh, I'll send you his name when it's over. I think his name is
Okay.
Charlie. I forget his last name off the top of my head. It starts with an M. But, we were just messaging yesterday about it. So I'll send you his information. But really cool stuff happening right now, and I'm excited to see people kind of stretching beyond the norm and using new platforms in new ways.
Me too. And, hey, shout-outs to Charlie. You've been warned. We're coming at you. You never know.
I you know what? I mean, God bless everybody. I'm just not Pinterested.
God bless.
Still.
Thank
you for the blessing today. We're all feeling
I'm not Pinterested, and but good. I'm glad Charlie's figured that one out. Hey, listen. Speaking of that, because you kind of started to touch on this, Stacy, and why don't you continue, and then we'll go back to Allison. How do you approach this from, I guess, both how you do it, engage with your clients, I guess, and also then the trainings that you do? How do you approach the social channels, and how do they vary by role in industry? I mean, some of them are pretty easy to figure out based on GitHub and Stack Overflow from a tech perspective, but how do you approach that when it comes to the channeling?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company. It depends on the role that you're recruiting for. It depends on the demographic. Obviously, if you're looking for tech folks, Stack Overflow and GitHub are some great places to start. But then, maybe you're looking for, more salespeople. They're obviously using LinkedIn on a daily basis, so maybe that's a better channel. But maybe you're looking for college students or hourly workers or blue-collar workers, those or healthcare or legal, be on LinkedIn, for instance. And so where do they hang out? Nurses might not have a LinkedIn profile, but I guarantee you they're posting cat pics on Facebook. And if you use Facebook Graph Search, you can find them there. And so I recently was doing a training at a healthcare company, and we did a search. We found a really, really great nurse practitioner in our backyard through using Facebook Graph Search, and we did a little cross-reference to see if that person was even on LinkedIn, and she was. However, her profile still showed Minnesota, and according to her LinkedIn profile, she had moved to San Diego 3 years prior. So her LinkedIn profile was 3 years out of date, where her Facebook profile, obviously, where she goes every day, was up to date. So all the other recruiters were kind of digging in the wrong spot to kind of reference a little Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones there. But by using Facebook Graph Search, they were able to get the most current information for their demographic, because that's that's where she goes every day. She doesn't need to network as part of her
right.
job, so LinkedIn may not be her go-to. So, yeah, it really depends on the role, the profile, who you're targeting, where they hang out, and what might be the most effective ROI for the time and effort investment that you're putting in.
Yeah, it's not cookie cutter. It's not like a one size fits all. So it would depend on, the team, like who is the team looking for. It's about people. So, not everybody's going to be on Pinterest, or not everyone's going to be updating their LinkedIn profiles regularly. I mean, even if you're, like our recruiting teams, we've got literally millions of profiles in our, internal CRM, but they might not have, the most detailed, stuff in there, or they might want to just make sure that it's current, or they might want to check out. I think one of the smartest things that our recruiters do is they might want to see, what is this candidate into right now? Maybe we talked to this candidate 2 years ago, but what is she focused on now? What is she passionate about? What is she talking about on social media? And then weaving that into the conversation and the outreach.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Hello.
So relation. The one thing that Stacey mentioned, and we've talked about this in different shows too, but I guess one further important point to underscore here is the relationship building aspect, right? I mean, yes, channels like Twitter. I mean, from a marketing perspective, I use Twitter, primarily as a communications marketing channel. I mean, and only engaging on times like this during the show or in certain times, but other channels you want to manage a little bit. What about the relationship building aspect, though? Right, that is one of the most important points, right, of leveraging social, isn't it?
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think it's. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Stacey, go ahead. You jumped in. Go ahead. You're good.
I'm so sorry.
You're good.
I jumped ahead. I'm so impatient. I'm so gung ho on the edge of my chair here. But
that's good. We like that about you.
I'm a go-getter. What can I say? I think definitely it depends on the role. Maybe for customer service reps or kind of tech support, help desk type roles, you may not need to kind of nurture those audiences as much. Not to say that those people aren't as important or that those roles aren't as key, but anytime you're in more of a high volume role, perhaps there's less of that front end relationship building component that may be necessary to fill the role. Again, you still treat them great as a candidate or applicant or what have you. But when it comes to kind of relationship building, it's absolutely key for certain types of positions. And, maybe, my husband's a UX guy, user experience, and those roles are really, really hard to fill. And he gets about 40 to 50 emails a month in his LinkedIn inbox. And it's really hard to stand out in that capacity. So what I recommend is sort of courting those folks online. And I use Twitter to do that because you don't have to know each other. Twitter's great for kind of meeting new people, if you will, because you can follow them, you can retweet them, you can read their blog, you can court them. And so I recommend for those types of purple squirrel, kind of harder to fill roles, that you can actually use Twitter really effectively to build relationships in that community. And then when the time comes that your rec is open, I always kind of look at my head count and my financial forecasts for the next quarter and start proactively building those relationships ahead of time so that when the rec comes open, I've already kind of been dabbling in that pool a little bit and sort of known within that community online. And so I did that exact thing for a UX job one time. I had a month head start. I went out on Twitter, followed everyone in that town who did UX. I was retweeting a little bit here and there, commenting, reading their blogs. When the time came, I just very conversationally tweeted out and said, hey, guys, I know about this hashtag UX opening in hashtag San Diego. Does anyone know anyone? Great position downtown. Does anyone know anyone? Purely conversational. I didn't put UX engineer, rec number 7234 with a link. Like, it wasn't like that. It was purely conversational. And because I've been having conversations with these folks for the last month or so, I got 6 responses to that one tweet. And long story short, 2 people made it to a face-to-face interview. 1 person got hired, and I got a check that enabled me to go buy my little used car at the time. So just for one week. So that's what relationship building and community building is all about on social.
Nice.
Nice.
On social media.
It's one tweet, but I do want to say, Stacey, you spent what sounds like a pretty good amount of time social listening to get to that one tweet.
I probably
and I think that's
Yeah, I mean, I probably put in a minute or two a day, every other day for about a month. So maybe 15 to 30 minutes of social listening and retweeting. But 30 minutes of time investment and then a 6-second tweet, that was pretty good ROI right there. That was well spent.
Right.
So I think as long as you're looking ahead and not playing catch up, you're going to be ahead of the game, and that proactive relationship building really makes a difference.
I'd love to hear from Allison on this as well.
Yeah, so, I think that specifically like tech candidates, they are just hammered with spam. I mean, they're just hammered every day with just junk. I mean, literally just junk with recruiters who don't know what they're doing. They're taking the easy way out. They haven't received proper training. Maybe it's a culture thing. I mean, we could go on and on. I know that's a conversation probably for another time. But just to act like a person, I mean, just to do what Stacy said, that she was doing on Twitter, it seems like basic, like it seems like, the things that we learned in kindergarten, but it's still true today. Like why, I don't know. I mean, one thing that, like, people at Kforce hear me say all the time, and it's in every training that I do with recruiters, and this is a phrase, you guys, and I'll tweet this out if you want, be a person first and a recruiter second. And it seems so basic and simple, but, man, is it compelling if you really think about it. It's like be a person first and a recruiter second.
Tweet it out.
Tweet it out, people. Tweet it out. Spread the message, because this spam epidemic is horrible.
Hey, Allison, and we've seen, I mean, time and again, it's telling. Multiple surveys of candidates, including Talent Board, which I help run now in North America for the Candies and the Candidate Experience Awards, that it's clear time and again that they just want candidates want cleaner, clearer, transparent conversation, communication, even if whether I get the job or not. I mean, you may still get a negative response. It doesn't matter. Just like give it to me straight, acknowledgement and closure. It's that. It's always been that, right?
Right.
So, and you can do that more readily on social channels as well. I mean, more so today than we could do pre-internet, right? Back in the dinosaur age.
Back in the day when we had a
And we talked earlier about like how is it different 5 years ago and how are things are different today. People are sharing a lot online, and it's just up to us to listen and pick up on those things and talk about it. It's simple, I mean, does it take a time investment? Absolutely, and that's why, I think that any training program with recruiters should include that element of how to actually schedule this into your day so that you are making time for it. You're being very specific about your goals on, today I'm going to do this, this, and this on Twitter and this on LinkedIn, done, and it's very specific. Otherwise, you could get, trapped down the rabbit hole, and suddenly it's an hour later and you're, looking at kittens on Twitter or something like that. But, I mean, it's these basic things that we all know. Like, we all know, we're all human beings. We all know to do these things. Why aren't some of us doing it? I don't know.
Now, are we over the generational discussion as it relates to this, meaning – Stacy, are you seeing generational differences in how we approach tech talent on social sites today? Or are you feeling like it's all kind of individual and it's just, it doesn't matter if you are a millennial or a baby boomer, if you're in touch and in the know, it's the same. Are you seeing differences, or tell me what you're seeing now as opposed to, say,
I think that's a great question. I think we give that a few more years and we might see, we're seeing all these studies that show teenagers are gravitating, of course, more toward Instagram than Facebook, and that, the college population is adopting LinkedIn more, as they should, obviously, as they prep for their future careers. But I don't know necessarily if I'm a tech recruiter, I'm, no matter whether I'm targeting millennials or seasoned professionals, those folks are all pretty much, well, not all of them, but they're largely hanging out on Stack Overflow and GitHub, regardless of what generation they are, right? And so I don't know that the dust is sort of settled on that yet. Let's fast forward 5 or 10 years and see where those teenagers end up. Will Facebook still be a big thing or not? I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know that it's necessarily a generational thing quite yet when it comes to this stuff. When it comes to I think it breaks down more by demographic, skill set, et cetera, more than it does generation at this point. But give it time. I'm sure as times change, new platforms will evolve and come to the forefront, and others will start to die off, as always happens. So Just got to keep your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
You bet.
So listen, we're down to about 5 minutes before we jump to Twitter chat, but I want to make sure that we get in the business impact questions, right? So let's segue to that. So Allison, let's go to you first. I mean, we know that we're up against the clock, but no pressure. But what's the return that you're seeing for Kforce, and how do you make that business case when it comes to investing in social recruiting? That's a big question, but how would you answer that in a very short period?
No pressure at all. I got this. No problem. Okay, here's my best stab at it. So there's a lot of things that we can do for free. So as far as, asking for a financial investment, there's a lot of things that we can do for free. It's just going to take an investment of time, effort, and training. We've got to teach our new recruiters, our little baby recruiters, like we like to say on Facebook sometimes, what to do and the right way to treat people. It comes down to how are we treating candidates. When it comes to messaging and engaging with them online, and I don't care what social media site it is, it's social media. Keep the social there. Treat people with respect. Treat candidates with respect. So I think training is a big part. I think education, looking at the data that's out there, listening to the recruiters who are on the front lines and the sourcers, talking to candidates, really listening to them. Why don't they like you, or why are they frustrated with you, or what are their complaints? And taking it seriously. There's a lot of ways we can do that, which we don't have time to talk about today, but there's a lot of ways to do that, is just listen first and then educate people, educate leadership, educate recruiting managers, have that awareness internally, create a training program if you need to. That's something I did with Kforce, from scratch. I didn't have a budget. I just went and created it. So you can do it.
Yeah.
And then educate people. So That's my 30 seconds, or probably more than that.
Perfect.
Stacey,
what do you want to add to that? What do you want to add to that, Stacey?
I would say that social has enabled us to have exponentially wider reach, but be infinitely more targeted within that population. So it's the best of all worlds. We have a much larger population from which to source, but we're able to be really, 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 really specific as to who we reach out to. And that's my recommendation. I would rather find 10 to 15 perfect fit candidates and reach out to them in a very targeted, personalized way, rather than blast 500 or 1,000 people because they have the word Ruby somewhere on their resume. And so this is something that social has enabled us to do, and we can do our homework and we can craft custom messages to our audience because we're able to learn about them through all their social posts. So it's a fabulous, fabulous tool and a way for us to create a great candidate experience and be much more efficient with our time and just yield better results, period.
I love it. I mean, the idea of creating and adopting a social strategy that's consistent and continuous is so important. And Stacey, to your valuable point, it doesn't matter if it's just 15 candidates, doesn't need to be 35, as long as it's high quality and consistent, So, well, thank you, ladies. This has been so much fun to back up with you both. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we head on over to the Twitter chat?
I have something. Check out LinkedIn's new app. I don't get paid by LinkedIn. I'm not here to pimp them out or anything, but it came out this morning, and it's pretty darn slick,
nice.
if I do say. So I've been playing on it a little bit this morning, and even Matt Charney, who I know is tweeting us right now, he even gave them accolades on Twitter this morning, which, if you know Matt, his love-hate relationship with LinkedIn should say something. So absolutely, go check out their new mobile app. It's really, really pretty impressive. So check it out. That's my recruiting relevant thing of the day.
Hey, Stacey, I would agree because I tried it myself. But is that the opposite of evil Matt? So it's the Matt with the goatee. It's kind of opposite world. Sorry, I don't know. Okay,
Matt my joke. His public persona is my personal persona, and his personal persona is my public persona. Wow. He's a softie on the inside and a hard shell on the outside. I'm the opposite. So.
There you go. Wow.
Don't tell anyone. It would be our little secret.
Allison, anything real quick before we jump? Allison, we got like 20 seconds. Anything for you?
Well, I want to plug our group on Facebook, which is #FightSpam. So if you are sick of the recruiter spam epidemic like we are, please join our conversation there. Nice. And I'm very excited for our Twitter chat, too, so let's keep the talking going.
All righty.
Here we go.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, ladies.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's do this.
Bye.